This is a run through the installation process for Gui4Cli, just to show you some things to get you started. You download it from Gui4Cli.org and you download this file, the installer. This is the file that will be downloaded here. We double click it, or better even is to run it in administrator mode, which would have done anyway, but it's better to just do it manually here. Yes. Yes, we do. We want to proceed. This is the installer. Next. By default, the installer directory is program files, but you can put it anywhere you want. Create desktop menu group. This is a small script that will be written to your documents directory, which will be run at startup time. It will just set the current directory. We'll say more about that later. So install. Yes. Installation finished successfully. If you open this more, this here shows you all the commands that the installer ran. The installer itself is a Gui4Cli GUI, and this is debug output, and it shows you everything that happened. You don't need to know anything about this, so finish. Now we're left with two icons on the desktop. This is the editor, and these are the tutorials, which will also open the editor. So let's take this out of the way and let's double click this. So this is the editor for Gui4Cli, which is itself written in Gui4Cli using an external DLL, which is added to Gui4Cli as an event. And these are tutorials. It's just a depiction of a folder inside the main directory of Gui4Cli, and it has some tutorial DLLs. We'll go into more detail about that on another video, but just to show you, you can, if you click on this, the code for the tutorial will be loaded here, and if you double click, the tutorial will be run like this. This opens some of them. All this. Okay. This is owner drawn list views. Anyway, they're all running together under the same instance of Gui4Cli. And if we quit Gui4Cli, which we can do from here, everything will be unloaded. Now, this icon here is always visible when Gui4Cli is running. It should be visible. If it's not, it's because Windows hides it, and it's better to just go here, go to all settings, display notifications here, and notifications and actions, and you can say here select which icons appear in the taskbar, and you go down, find Gui4Cli and say on, so that it always appears, because the icon is quite important. So when you have the icon here, if you see a small plus sign, this means that there was an error. If you click on this icon, left click on this icon, it will open the output window. This is it. Let's get this. This is has the top thing, so it's anyway, and it has printed out some errors. This was because it couldn't run this, and it did not find a header because this is not a GUI. It's an INI file which we clicked on by mistake, and this was already loaded, so it printed an error. You can change these colors and everything from here. And apart from debug output and errors, this will also the output which you can print stuff from GUIs if you need. It's like a console window. So if you want to quit also, you can right click this icon and you have a set of menus, and one of the choices is quit. Let's just quit to see what's going on. Tuck. Everything is closed and Gui4Cli is unloaded. Now if we want to run it again, we just click on any GUI. This, for example, is a GUI. We click it and we'll load. Now, let's close this. From here, you have other choices. This is general choices, various GUIs, and these are some utility GUIs, for example, for creating an executable or a bundled executable. These are the help files. This is the Gui4Cli help manual, which is extensive, and it tells you everything from the basics to the events, the attributes for the events which change what the events look like. Shush. The commands available, internal variables which tell you everything about the system and the events and everything, like what is going on in your system and in Gui4Cli. And it's an extensive help manual and a lot of reading. So another thing that has been created is the start menu group, which is here, Gui4Cli, which has much the same things that you would get if you right-click here. Some of these are, for example, let's see, utilities, which is, we saw before, for creating executables and things, GUIs, which is the editor, the preferences, a file explorer that is included, which I use. Let's just open this. This is a GUI itself. Get this out of the way. Why isn't it going back? This is a GUI itself, and it's an explorer written in Gui4Cli. One thing to note from here is these things here, which are called assigns. It's a thing that's left from the Amiga system, which was very useful, and I still have it included. These are shortcuts to various places in your computer. You can add to those, and they can be used very easily through scripts. This here is the home directory, which is in program files, the main directory. And let's go run through what is included here. Let's open it here. This is the dev development folder, which will show you examples and also a help file on how to create DLLs, mainly. For extending Gui4Cli, for adding events and commands to it, is very easy, and there's examples included in C. These are some DLLs that have been written for Gui4Cli. For example, this is from scintilla.org, and it's wrapped with this DLL and provides the editor as an event within Gui4Cli. These are various GUIs. This is the editor itself, which is comprised of these GUIs. This is what we're running now, the GC View Explorer, which is comprised of these GUIs here. This folder is res resources, which include various like menu colors, list of your colors. I've also included this Cascadia code, which is a font, which is an alternative to Courier, and it's used by Microsoft Visual Studio, and I kind of like it, so I included it here. You should install this if you need. These are the tutorials which we were playing around here before. And this is a utility folder with various GUIs that provide functionality. Now, the main program is this one here, Gui4Cli exe. This is the only thing you need, actually. Everything else is an environment for working with Gui4Cli. The only thing you actually need is this. Gui4Cli DLL is this file in DLL form. It can be used for other programs, for using Gui4Cli as a DLL. This is if you know what you're doing, and very few people use it. This is the help file, which we saw before. This is a Gui4Cli GUI, which is just the preferences, and we can also access it from here, this preferences. Let's open it. It shows us what Gui4Cli is doing. This is itself a GUI which is generated on the fly. These are the GUIs which are running. This, for example, because you can have many instances of it, so it just adds them here. This is the GUI. This is the file explorers. These are other utility GUIs that are running at this moment. If you open them, you will see all the events that they contain, and if you open that, you will see all the commands that each event contains. Here are the variables, which will show you what variables are running. These are global variables. These are GUI-wide variables. For example, this GUI, GCV util, has these GUI-wide variables, and each routine it has can contain variables, in this case these ones, and they show you the current values of the variables. These are the resources that are loaded, the icons that are loaded, the assigns that we have, and various other things. These are the DLLs that will be loaded on each. In this case there's only one DLL loaded, but if we open the editor, for example, sci-ed, you'll see that we will also have the sci-DLL, which provides these events, these two events, and these commands to embed Gui4CLI, to embed the editor within Gui4CLI. Anyway, we're getting too involved here. And these are the events and commands available in this version of Gui4CLI. These that start with X are events. The other stuff is commands. If you click on it, you will see its template here. The auto GUIs are GUIs which are run automatically when you click on something. For example, the editor, when you want the editor, this is the GUI that will be run. These are automatically set, and you shouldn't mess with them, except for the startup and shutdown GUI. The startup is a startup GUI that is run when Gui4CLI starts up, and the other one is when it shuts down. Here, it shows us the GUI that was created by the installer, the little thing that we said to create, which is in the Documents folder. Let's go there and find it. Documents folder. It's here in GUIs. This is my startup GUI. So if we want to see what it shows, we can right-click on it from anywhere in the Explorer, and we get Explorer menu, and you'll find here an entry Edit Gui4CLI script. If we click it, it's loaded in the editor, and we can edit it. In this case, this script just changes the directory, the current directory of Gui4CLI. You can add commands here that you want automatically executed upon startup, and the same with the shutdown GUI. So this is it, I think. I have another video which goes through the tutorials and show you how to code Gui4CLI GUIs. It's very easy, and I hope you enjoy it.